So what I'm going to demonstrate here is how broken sticky road tricks on logs act, and how you can kind of get around that problem. So you are approaching a log. It has a sticky road trick where you just stick to the ground and you trick. How do you get this trick when going at a high speed? Don't wheelie. Your bike is more on the ground and it will trigger the trick better. Watch. I canceled my wheelie and then I tricked. I'm going to do it again. There you go. Cancel your wheelie, then trick. That's how you deal with broken sticky road physics. There are a few other scenarios where some tricks just don't cooperate. On Headlong Skyway, you have ramps that require multiple trick inputs before they work, so you have to spam your D-pad like a madman for the tricks to come out. On some tracks, you have ramps where the trick doesn't activate unless you hop and trick at the same time, and I will demonstrate that right now. Alright, right here, if you hop and trick, okay, for whatever reason the trick worked. Normally it doesn't, it just doesn't activate. I have to do that. I have to hop and then it triggers it. Sometimes you'll miss it. It's weird. Alright, so here we have kind of like a banister kind of area. And the Coconut Mall, like, low tricks work like this. You hop onto it, drift, and then let go of the drift. So you want to hop in the direction it's facing. This is jutting to the right, so I want to hop to the right. And it's like that. You get a low trick. Let me go to Mushroom Peaks. I have to show you when to trick and when to not trick. So this track has its own unique rules. The general rules with mushrooms is you want to trick onto them and then continue not tricking until the mushrooms get you to a green mushroom. Generally you want to trick on the ramp, but I'm not going to. So the normal rule of thumb is don't trick on any red mushrooms until the one right before the green one, and then wheelie off the green one. Sounds fine and dandy for a track like Mushroom Gorge, but if wheeling off the green mushroom overshoots your target, then you could very much fail. So that's the general rules for bouncy mushrooms, but what are the rules for Mushroom Peaks? I'll go over them really quick. Let us examine the specimen known as the mushroom. There's a few different areas of the mushroom, and they all give different height amounts. The part where the mushroom is starting to slope up will give you the most height. This is what you want to hit most of the time on Mushroom Peaks, especially for the long route. The part where it slopes down flat is going to give you the least amount of height. Most height, least height. This outer ring, I'd say third most height, maybe. The rim itself, interesting amount of height. Actually, if you clip just the very last pixel, you can go super low. The second most amount of height is in the exact center. So, that's how bouncy mushrooms work. How does this apply to Mushroom Peaks? I am hitting the area that's going to give the most height. As you can see, I'm surviving. Now for this case, me hitting the middle allows me to get to the most height on this mushroom right here. And then, there you go. First try. The mushroom physics are real. They are consistent, and they can be manipulated. They are not RNG, they are not luck. It is a skill. Now, here is the trick pattern for this. Don't trick, trick, like I did right there. Don't trick, wheelie. Don't trick, trick, trick. It's consistent. So that's Mushroom Peaks. Thought I'd squeeze that into the tutorial. The last course I'm going to cover for when to trick and when not to trick is Rainbow Road Solar Edition. It's a good track for demonstrating that. So, here's an example. Wheelie, wheelie, trick. If you trick on all of them, you'll get too much airtime. By wheeling, you land on the edge. If you trick on these, you'll go too wide. Drift off them. But trick on the last one, because you're going straight. Here we have a boost panel and a mushroom. If I trick off this ramp, I will have extra airtime than if I just wheelie off of it and then trick on the bouncy cookie mushroom pad. So I will wheelie off this, then trick. Here we have another situation. I will wheelie on this and then trick here. Here, I want to just wheelie because right here we have another boost panel which I can just wheelie again off of and land here. I don't have to trick on either of them. Here is a good example of something cool. So I did a drift trick. I'm hopefully gonna land on this platform in midair, and instead of tricking on this ramp, I'm gonna wheelie off and get lower air. Okay, I didn't wheelie off, but if I would have wheelied off, it would have been faster. One more thing I'm going to show you is mushroom pad spin drifts. As you can see, it's a little bit difficult to time, but as I landed, I immediately did a spin drift. Also, another important thing about bounce pads that I forgot to mention. Don't trick on bounce pads when you are under boost speed, whether it be a boost panel or a mushroom. Here's why. You're going 100. It's a consistent 100. The normal consistent speed for a bounce pad is 73. See? 73. Back to spin drifts on bounce pads. But I'm not really that good at making this shortcut. What I am good at is showing the bounce pad spin drift. That's it for, I think, the trick mechanics. I think I covered absolutely everything. So let's cover karting mechanics. Alright, so I'm going to cover proper snaking. Most people think snaking is this. This is not snaking. Well, it is snaking, but it's not proper. By doing this, you're going left and right more than you're going forward. It's slower. Here is proper snaking. What you want to do is you're delaying when you start the next mini turbo because you're allowing the boost to carry you forward. I'm delaying when I do my next snake or next part of the snake. Don't just spam mini turbos repeatedly. It doesn't work on carts. So that is proper snaking. One way you can charge a mini turbo faster is like this. That is called a counter drift. You drift in the opposite direction and then back in the other. Some carts can do like a weight drift kind of counter drift. Wild Wing can't. Sprinter can. Carts can do a spin drift kind of animation, but it doesn't help them much. You don't really get much leverage out of it compared to in-drift bikes. Yeah, so like, the spin drift is possible, it's just, it's not that useful. You can't really do chain drifts with carts. I mean, kind of, but it doesn't really help you. The Super Mini Turbo makes up for that though. With carts, you want to get a Super Mini Turbo as often as possible when exiting a turn, and then immediately go into a proper snake. That's how carts work. Now, if you're about to hit something, I need a good turn to like demonstrate this. It's something about you do a bunch of hopping and it prevents you from slamming into a wall. kind of like that, except I still slammed into a wall. Okay, there you go. There's an example. So I used the hopping to kind of stop my momentum of my Super Mini Turbo or Drift or whatever. That's used on a lot of tracks. Watch Ghosts to know when to do the hopping. I think that's it for karts. There are a lot of alternate routes for regular tracks and some custom tracks that you'll want to take when you use a kart as opposed to a bike. Go to Bob's channel, Google him, YouTube him, like, search him on YouTube. He's the kart world record holder, and he has a video of the best routes to take for karts on regular tracks. So I'm going to move on to outdrift bikes. So with outdrift bikes, there's a few things you gotta learn. Instant wheelies are very important for them. I'll explain what this concept is. As you can see, a spin drift is possible. The animation is not as pronounced. Okay, you can do a spin drift to, you know, readjust your alignment. Chain drifting. It's not really possible in an outdrift. That's about as close as you can get. With outdrift bikes, the concept is pretty similar. You want to get your mini turbo fast and wheelie immediately. When you wheelie faster, you tend to have a better alignment. We outdrift bike players call it shooting into a wheelie because the mini turbo kind of just shoots you outward when you do the wheelie. Also, with all vehicles, you can do a delayed drift. And all vehicles, you can do soft drift. I did some soft drifting with that when I was using the Wild Way. I can do a soft drift with this too. I just did one. You can do delayed drifts with an outward vehicle. It's the same thing. That is almost everything there is in the game for driving. Now I'm going to cover the dark horse. Like, honestly, it was the rule breaker. This technique broke all the rules of this game. And it is the Toad's Factory Shroomless Shortcut controller input. This technique allowed players to do the Mushroom Gorge gap hop without hopping. It's not called the gap hop anymore, it's just the gap. Because you don't hop. This technique made the Toad's Factory lake jump possible without a mushroom. This technique makes the Autumn Leaves Way cut possible without a hop. It's a very mental technique, as Sheik is saying. So let's talk about it. We're already talking about it, but let's show it. So on this ramp, I'm going to demonstrate, not that. That's not what I'm going to demonstrate. Let's try this again. So, by being in a drift, and then suddenly releasing it when you go off anything in the game, anything, and get airtime, it allows your bike, for whatever reason, to be in the air longer. And then this is possible. I just did that without needing the ramp. See? You're in a drift, you're going over a gap, you're going off a ramp, you're doing something. When you release the drift in the opposite direction, sometimes you have to go all the way in the opposite direction. You get extra airtime. Let's go to Dark Matter Shrine and I will show you another example. Here's what happens if you do this by just going tight. It doesn't work. And here's what happens if you just go wide to tight. You're still not making it. You have to go really wide to really tight to even get anywhere. Or you can just stay tight the whole time and use the Toad's Factory input. Boom. If you notice where my control stick was, it was about right here. from a drift about this direction. So I went the opposite direction. And there you go. So, yeah, that's about every single thing I know about this game. In terms of driving. That's about every single thing I know. Maybe there's some more stuff that I didn't really cover, but that's about most of it. So what I will do is I will archive this and try to upload it to YouTube. It's going to be a long video, but honestly, this needs to get out there. So yeah, that's it. That's everything I know about the game. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for asking questions, interacting with the about techniques, giving me things to talk about, and allowing me to get through my outline and just make a very good improvement of my earlier tutorial. So, yeah. I'll see you guys later.